Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could leave me a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Swing by and say hi to Starlight. And you can also share my videos with your family, your friends. A butterfly, a bug. Plus, you can also check out my playlist and find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. I just want to say a big, huge thank you to all of you, and yes, you, for being here and supporting Starlight by giving me thumbs up or leaving me a message or even sharing my videos. Thank you. Now today's video is I used to be one of these people. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I am too busy. Like, I used to call myself a busy bee. You know, what are you busy doing anyway? What are you busy doing? You know, that used to be my excuse to get out of things when I was younger, you know, growing up when I didn't know any better, is like, hey, can you help me move this weekend? And I'm like, I really didn't want to. I moved enough myself, you know, and it's like, hey, Starlight, you want to help me over the weekend? I'm busy. I'm really busy. I didn't know what I was going to do that weekend, but, you know, during that time that they needed help, I was like, I'm busy. I'm busy. I can't do that. You know, so was I really busy? No. So I was really kind of like, yeah, lying. So there's a lot of people do that throughout their life, to say, you know, and then when people end up, like couples, whether they're married or not, they end up having a baby, and now that they, you know, or even people who have pets, now, you know, they have a reason. They can use these, you know, pets or their children for excuses why they can't go do something. It's like, I'm busy. I got to get back to my dog, because I used to use that one. That excuse to get out of things is, I got to get back with my kids, you know. And it's kind of funny, you know, like so there's times though you have to get back to your pet, but like, you're like, you know, they're gonna start drinking alcohol right now, and like, I don't really want to be around that. So how am I gonna get out of this uncomfortable situation that I'm in? Because this happens with the holidays, you know, where everybody comes at the Thanksgiving party, you know, dinner, or, you know, Christmas party or you know, and you're like, oh, okay, I showed up, I bought a gift, I came and ate, and, you know, and I want to get out of here. And so, but I don't want to be, I want to get out of here. I just want to get home to my stuff or whatever. So, but excuses, we all can come up with excuses at different times, but people have all kinds of excuses, like, why are you eating, you know, that kind of food that you're eating? Well, Starlight, I'm too busy. This is the quick food, you know, I used to do that when I started out, because I didn't know any better, is when my kids were little, it was all the quick food, you know, it was the cheap stuff, it was garbage, like macaroni. Most kids love, you know, the box of macaroni and cheese and hot dogs, you know, or, you know, like the quickies, you know, for food, is why not make a homemade meal? Learn how to cook. I am too busy. I got too much going on. Well, you know, as I've been learning on this journey, is health is wealth. So, and I got that from my mentor, is it's so important to take the extra time to make a home cooked meal. You know, people will say all kinds of things about the crack addicts and, you know, people that get into drugs and alcohol. It's really kind of, you know, in a way, we can get in our own habits in life And now it's an excuse why we're not doing things that we know we should do, and we put them off. Is like, I just overheard somebody today, they were talking about like, oh, I don't want to eat the fast food, because they know that it's not good for them. And but you got to break that cycle. I started a habit recently, and now I'm cutting back. I'm like, Starlight, no, you no more of that. You can't do that in the morning and at nighttime. So morning time, okay, but like coffee. I used to drink coffee so much when I grew up 15 years old drinking coffee. Came from a big coffee drinking family. Everyone in our family loved drinking coffee. And so Starlight was drinking it at nighttime and in the morning. And so now I have to break that habit, and stop it. So we can come up with all excuses, different reasons of why we can't work on ourselves. Well, I'm busy. Well, what are you doing? I got to go to work, Starlight. Well, what about when you're not working? What are you doing then? There's times that we actually, because Starlight did this, is I had time to sit and have my wine. I had time that would take, really, in order to drive a car. Starlight did not mess around with smoking marijuana. I gave that up. But it was like 3 hours. Like if I visited my brother that's no longer here, it was an hour drive just to go to his house. So once I got to his house, as time went by, I learned really quick is like when I get to his house, it's like I got to light up and smoke right now, I got to hurry up, get to his house, say hello, and let's get that bowl lighting up so then I can get high now. And because now it's going to take some time to wear it off. So then when I'm ready, I can get behind my car when I'm able to and drive back home, which is another hour. So people say that they're busy, as an excuse. There's people like they want more time at work, which really you got to make time for your own life. Your boss might say, hey, you want to work overtime? Now that's a great time to say, I'm too busy. I got a family. There's times that we need that I'm too busy, which is a great reason. If you're neglecting your family members and yourself, like you're not getting outside, you don't have a life because you're putting all those hours. Yes, tell your boss you're too busy. Say, I have a life. I'm not a slave. Or are you? Are you a slave to your company? That's where some relationships, they go downhill, is because, I know someone, it's like, it's like they're really so focused on their boss and making more money that they're really not spending time enough with their loved ones, and then when they're home, they're studying more for the job that the money. It's all been about money, 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 but they're not really taking that time, that other time, that they really need with their child and their husband, so, telling your boss that, hey, you know what, don't let your boss overwork you where you don't even have the time to live and enjoy your life. Instead of you're just so focused on money and putting more hours in. So yes, there's a time that you are too busy. Say, no, you know what? I got enough on my plate. I'm not, because people do this a lot. They will brag. They will go around, say, hey, how's your job doing? Oh, it's great. And people will compare notes. So how many hours do you do this week? And they'll brag. Oh yeah, I did like 60 something hours this week. They'll brag and announce how many hours they're doing, but they don't want to do those hours. They're depressed, they're sad, they're upset because they don't have the time to even enjoy life. They're too busy, making that money. So there's a time that it's, say, you know what? because the more you put in at work, the more they're going to expect, right? I remember when I gave my Saturday, one time they asked me, "Hey, Starlight, can you work this Saturday?" And they put you on the spot. You watch out these tricks. They might even ask you in front of other people. My kids used to do that, ask, "Hey, can we have this, or can we do this?" And they knew it was going to be a no, but they pressured me by asking in front of, relatives, to put some pressure on. And, we're like, "Oh, I don't want to say no in front of my relatives." But no, you got to be strong. You got to, what are you too busy for? There's times that we need to say we're too busy, and say, "No, I got enough on my plate. I got stuff, I can't even keep up with the yard work at home, or, to spend time with my kids." And that's why you got to be careful of, the churches and the schools, are they taking time away from your family, away from you, because I'll tell you what, I had to learn this when I was younger. Starlight, see this foot? Look at this. I had to glue this sneaker so many times, it's not even funny. But I don't know, can I stick this foot in my mouth? Starlight did a lot of, many times when I was younger. I kept, it's like I wasn't learning my lesson. I kept on sticking my foot in my mouth, volunteering for all kinds. I wasn't getting paid for that, I wasn't getting paid, and then when it comes down that, hey, I need help at the church, it's like pulling teeth. All the time and hours that I put in here at this church, and now I need help. My electric is out. I have 2 kids, and Starlight needs help. That is a wake-up call, is when now you need help. You've put all those hours in, volunteered for this, and this, and this, gave all that time and your gifts to the church. But now you need, hey, I need help here. They're going to turn I was really responsible, with my paying my bills. I was single mother, raising 2 kids, working at Burger King, and you know what? They're going to turn my power off at my house if I don't get get some money in there. And it wasn't like my money was being wasted. I needed help. So, be mindful of the kind of things you're volunteering in. Are they going to be there to help you out when you need help? That's so be careful of that. There's people that do take advantage of us, and don't stick your foot in your mouth. And it feels good to say, yeah, I'm going to do something. And then when you get home, why did I say that? Why did I say that? Now I got to go there every Saturday and do this, I got put on the spot. I got, and it's easy to say, yeah, I am doing this. But then when the day comes up where you got to wake up early, you might even, like with Starlight, I didn't even have a vehicle and I had to walk there. I dragged my 2 kids to go there. I couldn't get a babysitter to go do this stuff. I had to bring my 2 kids with me to do these things. So what are you too busy for? Are you too busy to keep your house clean? Are you too busy to work on your relationship with the guy or girl that you're with? Are you too busy to talk to your kids about real life and real facts, about life? These are things that we can't, we got to stop saying that we're too busy. I'm too busy. I can't make a good home meal, cooked meal at home, instead of going out and spending how much money, to go out and eat, because, oh, it's Friday. So every Friday now I'm going to go out, and I knew a guy, I just couldn't believe it. It was crazy. Every single night he went out to eat. I was like, how the blank do you do that? To eat out every night. Is you got to get your priorities right. What it is, if you don't know how to cook, take some time to learn. That's something that you should have learned when you were younger. Sometimes parents don't teach their kids. I didn't really know how to cook when I was a kid. I learned some things, But there's a whole lot of things I didn't know how to cook. So if you're a parent, teach your kids how to cook. They need to learn how to cook, not just cook, but cook good, healthy meals. Today I was going to tell a man today when I was at McDonald's, I thought, ooh, look at, it started off good, but it went sour really quick, so I couldn't say a word. But a man brings in his 2 kids in McDonald's, and what I noticed is that he brought his own, like some of his house food and his own plates. He had their own plates, and it was kind of weird because the 2 kids, they had their own plates from their house, and it started really beautiful. I was like, wow, but I couldn't understand why they were at a McDonald's place. But he started off with oranges. He opened up, peeled the orange skins off and had it on their plate. I don't even know if he did that there or if they were already peeled before he got at McDonald's. I wasn't really paying attention, but I thought, wow, this is beautiful. And I was going to say something, but I said, Starlight, stay quiet. Wait a little bit. So the more I watched, I realized it went downhill really quick, because it was really healthy food, the beautiful orange. And there was a lot. These kids were eating pancakes from McDonald's and really sweet cereal, like the Fruity Loops cereal. So it was, like a lot of sugar and 1 orange. So you gotta learn how to cook, but teach your kids, first you gotta teach yourself before you can teach your kids about eating healthy, and you can eliminate some of that stuff that that is not good for you, and by replacing it with food that is good for you, and also on this topic, I'm not going to talk about that. That's going to be another video. But are you too busy to learn how to cook? Are you too busy to teach your kids how to cook? Don't say, hey, the school. No, forget about the school. You're the parent, We've been programmed to think that it's the school's job to raise our kids. No, it's not the school's job to raise our kids. It's not the government's job to raise our kids. It's not the church's job to raise our kids. That's why it's so important before you even decide to have kids. Now, Starlight was really young. I am teaching you stuff that I didn't know when I started out. I was out of my house at 16. What do you think I was going to know at the age of, before I turned 16? What do you think I knew at that age, starting out homeless? And some of you, you should have been at your house. No, believe me, I was better off on the streets. So, but what are you teaching your children? I am too busy, Starlight. Doing what? Going out with your friends? Because at certain ages when people are young adults, they haven't given up their partying. They haven't given up their socializing with, their friends coming before their family. And hopefully, if you do, it's good to have, give yourself a break when you have kids and, even a family, is to enjoy, close friends that are really good and supportive, that are not bringing you in a negative way, in a bad way. Because you could have the wrong friends that are bringing you to the bar scene and to smoke marijuana and do other drugs. Or you could have friends that say, hey, let's go take a hiking trip today. That has nothing to do with drugs or marijuana or cigarettes or alcohol. Just going out and getting out in nature. So why are you too busy that you can't put that extra time that you have on your family? That's what's important. On yourself, that's what's important. When's the last time you had alone time, with yourself, spent some time alone with yourself? You need that time. Sometimes it's good to just get a safe babysitter. If your family's not safe, don't have your family to babysit the kids. Make sure you have somebody that is safe to watch your kids and have that time. You need the time alone. When they're in school, that was my, when my kids went to bed, that was my alone time. Because I was a single mom. I didn't trust people with my kids. Absolutely not. Did not. I didn't even trust the school with my kids. It's really ridiculous. So anyway, what are you too busy? Why you can't make good home cooked meals? you know, learn how to cook. There's lots of cooked things out there these days, and you know, instead of a recipe book, you know, they got stuff out there to help you to understand how to cook. You know, there, Google it, you know, YouTube it, you know, like, what is your favorite dishes? What would you like to try? You know, learn how to cook. Teach your kids how to cook. Don't put the excuse that I'm too busy aside. I love you so much. This is Starlight. You can give this video a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can leave me a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. And you can share my videos with your family, your friends, a cat, a dog, and you can check out my playlist and find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. I love you all. Make time. Think of where your time is being spent and say, you know what, I don't have to do that anymore. I can limit, you know, limit things that don't mean anything, and make time to work on yourself, cook, teach your kids, you know, the facts of life. They need to learn how to cook, so when they're adults, they know, they got it down, and teach them to cook healthy meals. I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight, love, light, and